Japanese counterparts showcased some explosive capabilities during a combined exercise. Marines with 1st Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company worked side by side with Japan Ground Self-Defense Force soldiers during exercise Iron Fist. It's on San Clemente Island, California. Iron Fist is an annual bilateral training exercise between U.S. and Japanese forces that builds their combined ability to conduct amphibious and land-based contingency operations. As 1st Marine Expeditionary Force's premier liaison unit, 1st Anglico specializes in combined arms, fire support, and communications capabilities in order to partner and enable any assigned unit across the range of military operations. 1st Anglico is manned, trained, and equipped to deliver devastating lethal and non-lethal effects across the battlefield. That's it for your Marine Minute. For more news around the Corps, go to marines.mil.
Effective this fall, DoDEA has added the seasonal influenza vaccine to the list of required immunizations for students attending DoDEA schools. Reducing the spread of preventable infections improves students' health, safety, and attendance. Better attendance improves academic achievement. Parents may contact their local military treatment facility immunization clinic, school nurse, or school website for more information.
Hey, put on your seatbelt, okay?
What? We're only going to the commissary. It's just a block or two. I could have just
Yeah, I know, but anything could happen. Somebody could run out into the road, or we could hit a pothole. One of our tires could blow, or a meteor could come crashing out of the sky. What if an escaped bull elephant comes charging at us, or a secret alien race lying dormant underground?
Okay. I got it. Here. Can we go now?
Yes, we can.
Embrace life. Wear your seatbelt.
Easy in sight. 30 seconds to drop point. 30 seconds!
In 1942, elements of the U.S. 509th Parachute Infantry spearheaded the Allied attack on Hitler's forces in North Africa.
15 seconds. 15 seconds!
It was the first combat airborne operation in U.S. history. Flying 1,600 miles at night from Britain, many of the C-47 transports were diverted by communications problems.
Green light. Green light! Let's go!
But several aircraft did make it to the two target airfields, and the airborne troops were successful in capturing both. Along with later jumps in North Africa and Southern Europe, this set the stage for the airborne invasion of Normandy. Airborne operations, part of American military history, and an important element of today's American military.
Passport, please. May I see your passport, please, young man? And your social security number? You do have a social security number, don't you? Sir, you're not going to be allowed to enter the United States without a passport and a social security number.
If you're a U.S. military parent and your baby was born overseas, you have to obtain a passport and a social security number for your child. Otherwise...
No, don't touch that. You've got people for that. Clean up on aisle 5!
It could be a real mess.
The single source for news, talk, and information.
A child's ability to read has a direct effect on their future success. Reading with your child helps to increase their vocabulary and improves their reading fluency and comprehension. On March 7th, MCCS libraries are celebrating Read Across America Day, and we encourage everyone to pick up a book and read to a child, or come down to the Foster, Courtney, or Kinzer Library for our special story time with surprise guests and crafts. For more information, visit mccsokinawa.com/libraries.
What's up, duder? It's your boy Brett Muller right here. But I'm not surfing these sweet Okinawa waves. I'm at the Gunners Fitness Center on Camp Foster, climbing crags on their gnarly rock wall. The 20-foot climbing wall features 3 lanes with auto belay systems to help your experience as carefree as possible. MCCS will provide all the tools you need for the climb, and all you need to bring is yourself. Visit mccsokinawa.com to find more interesting ways to get active. Start climbing today!
Did you know that in the last 10 to 15 years, there have been significant advancements in treating post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD? In fact, most patients will experience a 50 to 80% reduction in symptoms after completing evidence-based therapy. This is on par with what I have found in over 100 patients I have treated in the VA, the military, and on deployment. To find out more, contact the Mental Health Flight through the Cadena Connect app. For your Mental Health Minute, I'm Dr. Joel Foster.
They say one man
guilty to 6 felony counts. He was initially charged shortly after he reported the attack, but the state's attorney's office dropped the charges. The new indictment was secured by a special prosecutor. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved Nexletol. It is aimed at people who cannot tolerate or do not get enough help from statin pills. You're listening to ABC News.
Fox Sports trending now.
Second NBA games of note, a battle of old rivals with the Lakers edging the Celtics 114-112. Lakers are now 43-12, best in the West. LeBron James had 29 points in a big game-winning jumper with 30 seconds to play. Raptors all over the Pacers, 127-81. Defending champs have now won 13 in a row at home. Pelicans beat the Warriors 115-101. Rookie Zion Williamson, 28 points to win for New Orleans. Nuggets topped the Timberwolves 128-116. CJ McCollum was for 41 points leading the Blazers over the Pistons 107-104. Despite a career high 53 points from Bradley Beal, the Wizards lose to the Bulls 126-117. College basketball, we had number 25 Ohio State beating number 7 Maryland 79-72. 15th ranked Creighton took care of 21st ranked Butler 81-59. And the upset of the night saw Indiana beat number 9 Penn State 68-60. I'm Eddie Garcia.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Where in the world are we? This country has the second largest population of people older than 100. It's made up of more than 6,800 islands. Watermelons take on an unusual shape here. One of them even sold for $6,100. At its capital is the most populated city in the world, with over 38 million inhabitants. Where in the world are we? We're in Japan, and the capital is Tokyo. We're on the road across America. Where are we now? This city has gold at its heart. The nearby gold mine is the state's largest. The construction of a state railroad, highway, and an oil pipeline all contributed greatly to the growth of this city. The city is known for dog mushing, northern lights, and its extremes of light, dark, warm, and cold. Where are we? We're in Fairbanks, Alaska.
All right, looks like he's gone for the day. Perfect time to strike. Right. So what's the plan? You go through his sock drawer, I'll go through his closet. What exactly are we looking for? Nothing special, just being nosy. This seems like a violation of privacy. How else are we supposed to know what type of person we're living with? We could always just, talk to him. Yeah, that could work too.
Everyone deserves a sense of privacy. Respect your roommates when sharing quarters.
From ABC News, this is Perspective. A closer look at the week's top stories and the stories you may have missed. I'm Sherry Preston. Coming up, a once revered organization files for bankruptcy. Is there a way to save scouting from the Boy Scouts?
Boy Scouts is not just to me, but to millions of Americans, toxic. As an organization, the idea of scouting should not be.
Fight night in Vegas as the Democratic presidential candidates go on the attack now that Mike Bloomberg is on stage.
Democrats take a huge risk if we just substitute one arrogant billionaire for another.
And some call it the dangerous decade, losing your job in your 50s. Why it happens so much and what to do about it.
There's definitely age discrimination going on. When it looks like the person is younger, they get far more interviews.
All ahead on Perspective. This week, we're not starting Perspective with politics or the coronavirus or Roger Stone. We are going to talk about those things, but this week we're starting Perspective outside. Because a once revered organization whose main mission was to get kids, boys, outside camping, hiking, learning survival skills, making the world a better place, has filed for bankruptcy. After 110 years, the Boy Scouts of America admits it cannot keep up with the barrage of lawsuits that it's facing.
It's a sad fact that for more than a century, thousands of boys have come forward saying they were sexually abused by scout leaders, organizers, or other scouts. The Boy Scouts of America are broken. But does that mean the goal of scouting is broken too? Shortly after the bankruptcy filing, New York Times deputy daily opinion editor Clay Risen wrote an editorial called Save Scouting and the Boy Scouts. How do you do that, though? That's where we're starting Perspective this week. Clay joined us in the studio to talk about it. Clay Risen, what's your history with the Boy Scouts?
So I grew up in Nashville, and I was Cub Scout, Boy Scout, Eagle Scout, and really loved my scouting experience there in Nashville. I was in it for probably 8 years, and have very fond memories of my time in Scouts. But I left Scouts right about when the scandals and the cases started to bubble up, where it's not that anyone thought there wasn't abuse in the Boy Scouts, but it started to become apparent that there was a real problem.
Yeah, explain to us the sort of the trajectory of how it happened and how all these cases came to light.
In 2010 and 2012, it became apparent to the public that there was what they called a perversion file, and these were what are reportedly thousands of files of both abuse complaints about abuse by mostly adult scoutmasters, but in some cases other scouts, that the Boy Scouts kept confidential. Now in 2010, there was a landmark case against a Boy Scout leader who had abused 12, I think, Boy Scouts, and the organization had really tried to bury it. I think it's fair to say.
And one of the things that you try to tie in what you've written is that scouting itself, there are so many good things that come from scouting, but the Boy Scouts of America shouldn't exist anymore.
Well, I'd say two things. The first is absolutely, that's true. Scouting as an idea binds together certain ideas about self-reliance, being able to survive and thrive in the outdoors, and really as a test of self-reliance, as well as an education in civic values and everything from voting to civil rights. A lot of the things that I hold as a, I think, progressive minded American, I learned from Boy Scouts, not from school.
Do you have alternatives? You've talked about entering your own kids in a different kind of program.
Yeah, so just recently we entered into what's called the Baden-Powell Service Association, which is a back-to-basics scouting organization based on the values or the ideals of Lord Baden-Powell, who is the founder of the scouting movement. And from that came the Boy Scouts of America. This institution says, well, let's sidestep the Boy Scouts. Now, will it emerge as a viable alternative for everyone to Boy Scouts? I think it's way too early to say. It's a very young organization. My children have had a wonderful time in it. We're committed to it. I think it presents a model for where we can go, but I think it's way too early to say, here's what a post-Boy Scouts world will look like.
One of the things that the Boy Scouts of America have said is that the individual, troops, if you will remain, and the smaller groups will remain. How do you do that without the Boy Scouts overseeing everything?
Well, that's another thing to consider, is that each council, those have a lot of power. I mean, Boy Scouts is somewhat decentralized. Not to draw too close a comparison, but it is somewhat like the Catholic Church, and the dioceses have a lot of influence and a lot of control. And I've heard from a number of friends of mine who are troop leaders, adult leaders throughout the country. Their response is, look, they want Boy Scouts to continue, but for them, their concern is not about the central organization. Their concern is about the boys and girls, in some cases, and adult leaders in their troop. If there are troops out there, and my troop was one of them, that never had this problem. As far as I know, we never had a problem. The men who led my troop were upstanding, wise, kind men. That should be able to continue in some way, because those organizations, some of them are decades, generations old, their own traditions. They should be supported in any way possible. I mean, that's the thing about so much of this abuse scandal that really, I think, irks people like myself, is that it's not just that the abuse happened, and it's not just that the national organization seems to have covered it up, but that it goes against so much of the lived experience that Boy Scouts have, the fundamental idea that you should be responsible for yourself, and from that should flow a responsibility to your community, to your family, to perhaps your church, or your synagogue, your temple. the Boy Scouts is not just to me, but to millions of Americans, toxic. As an organization, the idea of scouting should not be. These things are the core. That's why you do Scouts. That's why Scouts exists. And if you have an abuse scandal that cuts directly at that, then what's the point?
After filing for bankruptcy, Jim Turley, the national chair of the Boy Scouts of America, released an open letter to victims. In it, he apologized for the entire scouting community and encouraged other victims to come forward if they haven't already. We've come back inside to talk about our next story, the coronavirus. COVID-19, as it's now affectionately known, has kept millions inside quarantined, most of them in China. But something else that this virus has done is affected the global economy. Apple announcing lower demand for its products in China. Other companies also saying the virus is hurting their bottom line. ABC's Susan Arizaki has been covering the story this week. Coronavirus and how it affects the global economy and American consumers. The big news came this week from Apple when Apple said that it wasn't going to meet its projected earnings because of the coronavirus. It was slowing things down. Explain a little bit more about that and how this virus has affected, what's going on when it comes to production.
We're just coming to terms with exactly what the economic impact will be. Apple, of course, is one of the largest corporations in the world. It's a company that has nailed the Chinese economy in an unprecedented way because they have created one of the world's most sophisticated supply chains to build their products, and that goes through China. But they also are extremely